Hey, what's up guys? Ultra Anastacio here at FlytPath.com. I want to talk about a subject that I think most people find themselves in, which seems pretty straightforward, which it is, but depending on your mode and your settings, hand launching and hand catching can sometimes be a little bit tricky. I want to go through some situations with you and explain a little bit about what the sensors are doing and what the drone is doing in the air. So the first mode we'll talk about is gesture mode. So you have two options in order to launch gesture mode. The first one is, of course, by pointing the camera towards you, engaging gesture mode here, turning it on by double tapping the back, letting the camera read your face. It'll then auto launch off of your palm, called the PalmLaunch. The other way to engage gesture mode is through the app. So you can go into the intelligent flight modes, tap gesture, and it'll engage that way. So let's go ahead and test it out using gesture mode without any device, and I'll go ahead and show you the launch and the catch. I'm gonna go ahead and now point the drone right at me. It's gonna go ahead and read my face. I'm gonna double tap twice. Now it's green and yellow. It's reading my face, and auto launch will begin. Okay, so now that gesture mode is activated, I'm not gonna go ahead and go through all the palm controls. All I wanna talk about is launching it and landing it. So because we're in gesture mode, all you have to do to land is simply place your hand about a foot underneath the drone. By doing so, it'll engage VPS. The vision positioning sensors will be engaged. Once it's engaged, it'll then go ahead and begin landing right onto your palm. So there you go. That's engaging gesture mode without a device directly from the camera and the sensors. Palm launching it and palm catching it, pretty straightforward, and it is engaged by VPS when you put your hand underneath, only when you're in gesture mode. So the next thing we'll want to do is go ahead and do a palm launch using the auto takeoff mode in the application. So what you're going to want to do is go ahead and place the Spark in your palm. Make sure your palm is nice and open and the Spark is well balanced. It's not leaning to one side, it's not leaning too forward. Just make sure you have an open palm and it's nice and flat as possible. The auto launch is I have to actually engage it, so what I'm gonna do is actually kneel down and do this. The Spark up nice and flat. I'm gonna go ahead and engage auto takeoff by pressing the auto takeoff button. It'll say takeoff. It will ensure conditions are safe for takeoff. Aircraft will go to an altitude of 1.2 meters. So what I'm gonna do is make sure it's nice and open. My palm is nice and open. Go ahead and engage auto takeoff. There you go. Because we're not in gesture mode, if I place my hand underneath the Spark, it's not going to auto land. What it's going to do is the VPS, the vision positioning sensors, are going to read that my hand is underneath and try to adjust its height. So what's happening right now is, as you can see, I'm not doing anything with the remote, but if I move up, the Spark will also move up. And it's doing that because it's sensing something underneath and trying to maneuver above it. So it's not going to auto land because we're not in gesture mode at this point. So what I want to do, and I'll show you how to go ahead and safely land it in your palm, is what you're going to do is go ahead and place your palm underneath and let the Spark read your palm. What it's going to do is assume that your palm is now the ground. So now, as you can see, it hasn't moved because I'm not moving up with it. If I move up with it, the Spark will also move. But let me go ahead and show it to you how it's going to engage. And to land, you can either land in two ways. You can manually hold the left hand stick down, or you can hit auto land through the mode and the button on your app. But what I want to do is go ahead and manually land it. So all you're going to do is place your hand underneath. I'm going to go ahead and hold down on the left stick. And what's going to happen is the Spark's going to hesitate because it wants to make sure that your hand is considered to be the ground. Now I'm going to press down. Now it's not going to move, and then it'll slowly engage. So by doing that and keeping your hand there underneath nice and still, it'll assume that your hand is the ground and go ahead and proceed to descend for landing. So one of the things I always see a lot of people doing, which is a really big mistake, is that they will try to grab the Spark out of the air, and what they're thinking is happening is that the Spark is trying to fly away. But really what's happening is that the Spark is doing what it's supposed to do. And as you can see, the motors are struggling because what it's supposed to be doing is trying to regain that balance. It's just trying to regain its balance. So what people say, or they say it's trying to fly away from you, it's really not trying to fly away from you. All it's trying to do is maintain balance, maintain its altitude, And what you're doing is actually restricting it from doing that. So people will always say, oh, I try to grab it or land it, and what happens is it starts taking off and it wants to fly away. It's not flying away from you. It's just trying to maintain balance and maintain altitude, and you're the one actually affecting it. So let's go ahead and manually land it. I'm gonna go ahead and put my hand under, assume it's the ground, press down. Hand catch number 2. So those 2 ways, gesture mode, like I mentioned before, will auto take off from your palm, and when you put your palm underneath, the sensors will read it, your palm, and go ahead and land directly into it. But the other way around is, if you manually launch and you want to manually land without gesture mode on, you're going to want to make sure you put your hand underneath, not too close to it, or else the Spark will read it and move away from you. You want to keep it underneath. Go ahead and engage your left stick down. What's going to happen is the VPS will read your palm and assume it's the ground. It'll hesitate and then go ahead and descend nice and safely into your palm. As a little bonus tip for you guys, the DJI Spark actually implemented a new safety feature into the Spark, which is pretty cool. So if you find yourself in a situation where you have to grab it out of the air and turn it off, all you actually have to do is grab it and turn it sideways, and the motors will automatically shut off. So I didn't engage that motor with the remote. All you have to do is grab it from midair, turn it sideways, and the motors will actually turn off. That's about it, guys. Once again, this is Aldrin Estacio with FlytPath.com. If you guys got some value from my videos, don't forget to please like, comment, and subscribe down below. Also hit that bell if you want to be notified when I do upload some new videos. Really hope you got some good stuff out of this one. Check out FlytPath.com for all my photos and a lot more tutorials, and I'll be back shortly with a new one. Be safe out there, guys.